Good evening, welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. So today I'm going to continue on with my, continue on with my holiday baking. So tonight we're going to be making lemon bars and some cherry bars. We're going to start with the lemon bars. And for those we're going to start out with, we need 3 sticks of butter. So I'm doubling this recipe. So we need 3 sticks of butter. And this package that I have here has 2 sticks in it. And you want your butter to be cold. So I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it in little pieces and put it in my food processor. All right, so there's our first 2 sticks. And then go ahead and cut one more. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this one back in the fridge because I need it for my next recipe. All right, so then in our food processor, we're going to add a cup of powdered sugar. And 3 cups of flour. Hopefully I have enough in my container. Here's my powdered sugar, flour, and butter. And I forgot we need to go ahead and take care of our baking pans. I've got 2 9x13 cookie sheets here. And we want to make the foil be longer than the pan so that we've got a couple edges at the end. So I'm going to put this in here. So they're going to look like this, so it extends over the edge of the pan. And then we're just going to lightly spray these with vegetable spray. I may be out of this one. Oh, no. Now I'm out. Okay, so I got both of those sprayed. And I just started the oven. We're going to preheat it to 350. All right, so now we've got this in our food processor. And we just want to process this flour, sugar, butter mixture until it's in coarse crumbs. All right, let's see. Whoa, how this looks. All right, so that looks pretty good. There we go. Goodness, struggling. All right. So now I'm gonna put this in my pans. I'm gonna divide it. Oh, look, I've got some chunks of butter in there, so I'm gonna divide this between my pans. And I'm actually going to, this one chunk of butter in here, I'm going to go ahead and process this so that we've got it ground down. Gosh, powdered sugar gets everywhere. It's crazy. All right, there we go. And then I've got some that fell out of the bottom of that right here on my cutting board. All right, so then you want to spread this out in your sheet because we're making our crust with this for our lemon bars. So you want to push that down with your hands and just kind of firm it up in your pan like this. When our oven is preheated, which I should have gotten it started earlier, we're going to put these in the oven and we're going to let them bake for about 15 to 17 minutes until they start to lightly brown. So here's what this looks like pressed into the pan. You just smash it down and it's gonna bake and form a nice crust for us. Okay, so our oven's preheated, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick these in and set the timer for 15 minutes. While those are cooking, we're gonna start working on our filling. So I've got the lemon that I zested the other day, and was gonna save it, so I'm gonna use it to, I'm gonna juice it, and I'm going to put it in. So we're gonna need a total of about 2/3 of a cup-ish of lemon juice. So I'm gonna go ahead and juice this into this, and these are not very juicy. There we go. And I'm going to scoop out the seeds that fell in there, because I don't think anybody wants seeds in their lemon bars, because that would not be any good. So I'll get those out. Okay, so now this other lemon, I'm going to go ahead and zest it, and we need about a teaspoon or 2 of zest. So I'm going to go ahead and just whatever we get off of this one lemon will be what we use, because I didn't buy any more lemons. And this might be about 2 teaspoons. And you do always want to make sure that you are just zesting the peel and not getting down into the white part, because that pith is bitter and you don't want the bitter into your recipe. Okay, there we go. So we've got that's probably about 2 teaspoons there. So we'll add it here in just a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and juice this lemon as well. All right, so what do I have here? I have about probably just under 1/3 of a cup and a few more seeds. So let's get rid of those. No, that was just the way the light was hitting the jar. Crazy. Okay, so I'm just gonna add some bottled lemon juice. If I can get it open, there we go, to make our 2/3 of a cup. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put the zest in there, and then I'm just gonna put that to the side. So now we're going to put our eggs in our mixer here, and we need 6 large eggs. And I'm going to break them one at a time, because I had a bad one the other day unexpectedly. So good thing, because I just came across another bad egg. So whoa. All right, and here is number 6. All right, so there's our 6 eggs. So we want to run this at high speed, and we're just going to beat these eggs until they're very thick and lemony colored. So we're gonna run that, it's gonna take about 3 minutes. Our eggs are all thickened up now. So we're going to pour in, our lemon juice and zest. We're going to add a cup of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add 3 more tablespoons of flour. And we're going to mix this on low. All right, so here is how these look. So they're just kind of brown around the edges. And I've got our filling right here, and I'm just going to divide it between these 2 pans. Okay, now the fun part is you have to very carefully get them back in the oven without spilling the filling out of these pans. So I'm going to pull this foil up just a little bit so it's kind of out of my way. It's like trying to carry a pan of water across the room. Not fun and not easy. Whoa. Okay, so I've got both of those back in the oven. We're gonna let them cook about 13 minutes and then check it. And we just want to cook it until the filling is just set. You don't want to cook it too long because then it will be crunchy. You know, it won't be gooey like a normal lemon bar. So we want to check it and make sure that it's looking good. All right, so these have come out of the oven. So here's how they look. I'm just gonna push them over there. And so what you wanna do is take a little bit of powdered sugar and just kind of dust it over the top of these while they're still warm. All right, so we're gonna let those cool on the cooling racks. Just slide those out of the way. And when they're cool, we're going to lift them out using the ends of the foil that we had and then lay them on a cutting board or on our counter here to go ahead and cut them into whatever shapes we decide. Okay, so while that's cooling, we are gonna start working on our cherry bars. And again, we just need to make our base. So I'm making 3 pans of these, same size pans, these little 13 by 9 pans, and I just put some, I put a sheet of parchment paper in each one of these. Just makes it a little easier to get out. And I'm gonna go ahead and just give those a light spray with this vegetable spray. Okay, so we are going to start with, where's my measuring cup? We need 3 cups of flour, and so I'm gonna make 2 recipes. I'm gonna make 3 times the recipe, but I'm only going to, all right, I'm just gonna start with this one here. So we need 3 cups of flour because I can't remember how much each of these makes. And I've doubled and tripled what I have on here so many times that I'm not sure what an actual original recipe looks like. Okay, so 3 cups of flour, a cup of sugar, one teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm using a ½ teaspoon maker here. And then we need 2 sticks of butter. And just like with our lemon bars, we want to use cold butter. So I've got this package here that's got 2 sticks in it. And I'm just going to, hopefully not stab myself, I'm just going to cut this in pieces and put it in my food processor with my flour and stuff. In addition to the butter, sugar, and flour, we are also going to use some almond paste. So each of these recipes that I'm making uses about 2/3 of a cup, which that's about 1 box. So I'm just going to cut this up and add it to the mixture, throwing it everywhere. And then we need a ½ teaspoon of almond extract. Half a teaspoon, right? Yes. Okay. Now we're just going to use our food processor to mix this up again until it's, you know, in a coarse, they look like little coarse pieces. We're going to do that. There's one mixture, so now I'm going to mix up the second. Actually, I think because this is already doubled, I'm just going to do half of this recipe for the second one. Because I usually make 4 pans, and I'm just going to make 3 this year, so I'm going to do that first. So I need 1.5 cups of flour, half a cup of sugar, a half a teaspoon each of baking powder and of salt, our 1 stick of butter, a 1/4 of a teaspoon then of our almond extract, and then we're going to use half of this second thing of almond paste. All right, so we're going to put this in, and again we're just going to mix all this up and make sure I didn't miss anything. Before we pour this out into our pans, we're going to take 1 cup for each of our pans, so we'll do 3 cups, and we're going to set it to the side because that'll be for our streusel topping. All right, so I'm just going to set this to the side. Our 3 prepared pans, and I'm just going to do the same thing. We're just going to evenly spread this out among our 3 pans. So, whoa, my paper is sliding around here. So I'm going to spread this out with my fingers. Up to, you know, all the edges of all the pan. Make sure it's pretty level. And then I'm going to take my cup, or my measuring cup here, and I'm just going to press down, and all we're doing is just flattening it and making it pretty solid before we put it in the oven. So we're just going to do the same thing to these other 2 pans. Okay. So I've got all 3 pans ready. I'm going to stick them in the oven, and we're going to bake them about 15 minutes or until they are just starting to brown. While the crusts are baking, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the filling. And we're using frozen Tart cherries. We're just going to mix all of our filling ingredients in at one time. You need 3 cups for the doubled recipe, and then so 1.5 cups then for the next. So I'm just going to use 3 bags. That's going to be about the right amount. And then we want to add 2 1/4 cups of sugar. We're going to add 9 tablespoons of water, 6 tablespoons of cornstarch, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 3 tablespoons of butter, and a pinch of salt. All right, and then we are just going to turn our heat on, and we want to let all of this mix together, let our sugar and butter get melted, and then we're just going to let it simmer until our until all the filling starts to thicken up. So this is weird. I've never had it look blue before. I have a different brand of cherries, but you wouldn't think that that would do it. I mean, cherries are cherries, right? Tart cherries are tart cherries, you would think, but I don't know. Very strange. Okay, so I figured out what I did wrong, and probably some of you can guess. So in my cabinet, my cornstarch is right next to my baking soda, and I accidentally put baking soda in instead of cornstarch. So that's why it was blue, and it would have never thickened up, and of course it would have tasted terrible. So I had to go get some more cherries, and we're starting the filling over.
And when I was editing this video, I could clearly see that my container said baking soda, but I didn't pay attention when I was making this the first time.
All right, so let's try this again. So we've got our cherries. We need 2 1/4 cups of sugar, 9 tablespoons of water, 6 tablespoons of cornstarch, not baking soda, 3 tablespoons of butter, and 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. So you do want to go ahead and keep stirring this once everything gets mixed together, the sugar's melted, the butter's starting to melt, so it doesn't stick to the bottom of your pan. You don't want it to burn. And it usually takes, once the butter is melted and the sugar's all melted in, it usually takes about 7 or 8 minutes for it to start thickening up. So you just want to keep stirring it. So it looks like it's starting to thicken up just a little bit. So probably just a couple more minutes. Yeah, and now you can see it's really, the filling is really thickening up now. All right. So I think that's good. I'm going to take it off this burner so that it doesn't keep cooking. So I'm just going to scoop some out and just pour it in each pan here. Of course I'm dripping everywhere, but that's all right. So see, this is really nice and thick now. All right, so I'm just going to scoop out the rest of this juice that's in here. Kind of divide that. Oh my goodness, I am so messy, guys. It's crazy. All right, so we're just going to spread our filling out now over our pan of crust. Oh, it smells so good. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to take our reserved streusel that we had, and let me see here. We're just going to sprinkle this evenly over each of these 3 pans, over the top of our cherry filling. Okay. And last, we're going to take just some slivered almonds. And we're just going to sprinkle some of those over the top of our streusel. All right, so now, ouch. That cherry filling is so good. Okay, so now we're going to put these back into a 350 oven, and we're going to let them bake for about 30 minutes, and your bars are going to get nice and bubbly and brown, and they're going to be delicious. So we're going to put those back in right now. All right, these are cool, so I can take them off of the cooling racks. So I can get those. We can use them for the cherry bars. So we just want this to be a consistency where we can drizzle it on our bars. So if you think it's too thick, you can add a little more milk or cream. And if you think like this, I don't know. And if you think it's not thick enough, you can add a little more powdered sugar. Okay, that might be okay. So for right this minute, I'm just going to put a lid on this and set it to the side so that I can drizzle it on there when our bars are out and cooled. All right, so I've got these out of the oven and they look like that. So I'm going to let those cool a little bit before I add the frosting to them. And I think this needs just a little more cream, so it's just a little bit runnier. I'm going to pour just a very little bit in here. So that was probably about a teaspoon. Oh yeah, that's what we wanted. Okay, Okay, so now you can see it kind of is running off the knife. So now what I'm going to do is just take a regular whisk and just get it full of frosting and just kind of drizzle it over your pan of bars. Actually, it might still need a little more milk. It's still a little thick. I don't want it to be clumpy on my bars. So let's add a little more. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so I probably added total about another tablespoon of cream to that. And then I just kind of go all directions with it, and you can frost it as much or as little as you want. I just try and make sure that it's kind of even on the pan. Oh, I just dropped a big old blob. Oh well. Okay, so we've got all these done. I'm not actually going to cut any of them until I'm ready to package them. And by then our frosting will have hardened back up and set so that when we stack them in a tray, they're not going to stick together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull some saran wrap, and I'm going to lay it over these lemon bars and then fold the extra foil over the top. And then I'm just going to leave everything stacked right here and kind of protected from the animals and, you know, getting knocked off the counter and all of that. This is how beautiful these look when they are all frosted. And we'll cut those into little squares. And the lemon bars, I usually try to cut them diagonally so that I end up with some diamond shaped pieces, and then you've got little pieces on the edge or on the corners, of course, but I just eat those and then that's a bonus for me. So I am done for the night. Yay. I only have one full thing left to make that I'll probably do tomorrow, and then I have to frost my sugar cookies, and then I'll be all done and I can start packaging up these cookies and get them to my kids. So thank you guys once again for spending your time with me, watching me bake and cook and whatever, and, you know, make messes like mixing up, oh my gosh, like using baking soda instead of cornstarch and seeing what a beautiful mess that made. So don't do that. But again, I really thank you guys. I really appreciate everybody who watches and comments, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks guys. Bye-bye.